would like to start with Qur'an. So please help me welcome Brother Ahsan Karimi with a loud salawat.
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Assalamu alaikum jami'an. Inshallah, I'll be reciting from Surah Al-Ma'idah, ayah number 54. Surah Al-Ma'idah, ayah number 54. For those who want to follow along, it's on page 117. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا من يرتد منكم عن دينه فسوف يأتي الله بقوم يحبهم ويحبونه أذلة على المؤمنين أعزة على الكافرين يجاهدون في سبيل الله ولا يخافون لومة لائم أذلة على المؤمنين أعزة على الكافرين يجاهدون في سبيل الله ولا يخافون لومة لائم ولا يخافون لومة لائم ذلك فضل الله ذلك فضل الله يؤتيه من يشاء والله واسع عليم. إنما وليكم الله ورسوله والذين آمنوا الذين يقيمون الصلاة ويؤتون الزكاة وهم راكعون. إنما وليكم الله ورسوله والذين آمنوا الذين يقيمون الصلاة ويؤتون الزكاة وهم راكعون. ومن يتول الله ورسوله والذين آمنوا فإن حزب الله هم الغالبون صدق الله العلي العظيم جميعا. اللهم صل وسلم وزد وبارك على رسول الله وآله الأطهار على رسول الله وآله الأطهار صلوات. اللهم صل على
Ahsan, brother Ahsan. Let's give him another loud salawat, please. Before we begin, I have a few short announcements. First, please make sure you're wearing your face mask at all times, and please make sure you're properly socially distanced. The chairs are set a certain distance apart for a reason. Second, tonight was sponsored by a generous donor. عفوا صلوات على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Tonight was sponsored on behalf of Marhum Haj Hassan Ajrushe and Marhuma Hajj Nuhad Ajrushe. So please let's recite Surah Al-Fatiha on behalf of their souls. Okay, one more short announcement. At the end of the program, inshallah, we'll be having Amal for the second night of Laylatul Qadr. So please keep the chairs where they are for tonight. And if any brothers are walking in, please sit in the front if there are no chairs available. And for the sisters, please sit in the back if there are no more chairs available. But please keep the chairs in the spot where they are for now. And without any further delay, please help me welcome Samahat Sayyid Ahmed Qazwini with a loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وحبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين الهداة المهديين واللعنة الدائمة على أعدائهم أجمعين إلى قيام يوم الدين. Respected brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Throughout history, numerous individuals have come forth to describe the unique personality of Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. But amongst the most beautiful descriptions that we have in history was given by a man by the name of Dirar ibn Damrah. He gave a beautiful, concise and accurate description of the personality of the commander of the faithful, Imam Ali alayhi salam. He was summoned by Muawiyah one day to his palace. Muawiyah is the arch nemesis of Imam Ali alayhi salam that waged wars against Imam Ali. So after Imam Ali was killed, Muawiyah summoned Dirar, who was a noble companion of Imam Ali, to his palace. Why is Muawiyah summoning me, he says. It can't be something good. So he goes to the palace of Muawiyah. He enters, and surprisingly, Muawiyah makes a very strange request. He tells him, "Oh Dirar, you're a companion of Imam Ali. You know a lot about Imam Ali. And thus I ask you to describe the personality of Imam Ali." This is the enemy of Imam Ali requesting a companion of Imam Ali to describe him, describe Imam Ali. He tells him, "Sifli Aliyan," describe his qualities, his characteristics. Tell me. Now, Dirar was not comfortable speaking of Imam Ali alayhi salam in front of Muawiyah, because Muawiyah hated Imam Ali. He could not bear hearing the name of Imam Ali. So he knew that if he speaks about Imam Ali and he praises him, there could be punishment from Muawiyah. So he told them, "Please excuse me," he told him. "I don't want to speak about Imam Ali." He told him, "No, I will not excuse you. Speak about Ali and I promise that you will be safe. You can say what you want and you will be safe. No one will do any harm to you." So Dirar begins to beautifully describe the personality of Imam Ali. You see, when you are asked to describe someone like Imam Ali alayhi salam, it's not easy. Do not think it's an easy task to describe the personality of someone like Imam Ali. Because there are two times when one stutters and stumbles when asked to describe a personality. Number one is when you are asked to speak about someone that doesn't have any good things in life, right? That doesn't have any virtues. You don't know what to say about him, right? You don't want to lie and say all these exaggerations about him, nor do you want to put him down. You know, this happens sometimes when you're invited to certain funerals, and you know, the person that died didn't really have anything worth mentioning, right? Any good deeds, any virtues, and they want you to speak about that person. You stumble here, you stutter, you don't know what to say. That's one time. Another time where you stutter when you are asked to describe a personality is when the individual has so many virtues that you do not even know where to begin. When you are asked to speak about Imam Ali, you don't know what to say because Imam Ali is like a deep ocean. Where should I begin? Which virtue do you want me to speak about? Which of his qualities, which of his fada'il, which verse in the Qur'an that Allah revealed about him do you want me to speak about? So this was not an easy question that was directed to Dirar ibn Damrah. But Dirar so beautifully and concisely, he described Imam Ali alayhi salam's qualities. One of the most famous Arabian scholars of the Arabic language, a man by the name of Al-Farahidi, Al-Khalil Al-Farahidi. If any one of you have studied the Arabic language, you would know who Al-Farahidi is. He lived during the time of Imam Al-Sadiq, and he is said to be the first individual to ever write an Arabic dictionary. Before that, there were no dictionaries. And he is one of the greatest scholars of the Arabic language. Al-Farahidi, he was a lover of Imam Ali alayhi salam. He was once asked to describe Imam Ali. You know what he said? He gave a beautiful one-sentence answer. He said, "What should I say about a man whose enemies hid his virtues because of their animosity and their envy towards Imam Ali?" Yes, throughout history, the enemies of Imam Ali, the Nawasib, they would hide the virtues of Imam Ali because they hate him, because they envy him. You know, during the time of Muawiyah had a law that whoever mentions a virtue of Imam Ali, he could be punished by death if you mention the name of Imam Ali in a good way. That's why for 70 years Imam Ali was cursed on the minbar. Can you believe that? Imam Ali, who personifies faith and iman, he would be cursed on the manabir. Whoever would narrate any hadith from the Prophet praising Imam Ali, they would go after him, the authorities. So the enemies, they used to hide his virtues because of their envy and animosity towards Imam Ali. And then he says, and his friends and followers also hid his virtues. The enemy hides the virtues. But why would the follower and the lover of Imam Ali hide his virtues? Because of fear. Khalil says, because of fear, they used to hide the virtues of Imam Ali. Because like we said, if you were found to narrate a hadith of a virtue of Imam Ali, you could be sentenced to death. So Al-Khalil Al-Farahidi would say, what should I say about a man whose enemies hid his virtues because of their hatred, and his lovers also hid his virtues because of the fear? But yet you find that so many countless virtues of Imam Ali alayhi salam remain to stay throughout history. Just open the books of hadith today. The only Sahaba, brothers and sisters, that has so many virtues is Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib. Whether in Shia books or Sunni books, the legacy of Imam Ali contains, and remember, what we see now in the books is 1/10 of what was left in the beginning by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But they were all what? Destroyed and hidden. So this is Imam Ali alayhi salam. So back to Dirar ibn Dhamra. Muawiyah tells Dirar ibn Dhamra, tell me about Ali ibn Abi Talib. And Dirar begins to beautifully describe the personality of the commander of the faithful. The first thing he said, I will choose certain passages of his words. He says, كان والله بعيد المدى شديد القوى. He says Imam Ali alayhi salam was what? Was far-sighted. He was sharp-sighted. He had foresight. Imam Ali would not look through his eyes, which is called basar, but he would look through his heart. He would look through his basira. And that's why he's the man that said, everything that I see Allah before it. I see Allah with it. I see Allah after it. This is Imam Ali alayhi salam. He had that foresight. And then he says, Shadid al-Quwa. Imam Ali was very strong and brave. The valor that Imam Ali had, no one of the companions of Rasulullah had. In every battle that Rasulullah had with the enemies, Imam Ali was the hero. Imam Ali was the champion. The Sahaba, they would all resort to Imam Ali. Ya Ali, save us. If we don't have you, Ali, no one can save us. Such that Jibreel came down. Jibreel came down after one of the battles, after Khandaq, and he said about Imam Ali, La fata illa Ali. There is no man but Ali. Wala sayfa illa dhul fiqar. And there is no sword but dhul fiqar, the famous sword of Imam Ali that some of you are wearing right now. The Jibreel, he came down from the heavens and he made this call. This was Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. And then Dirar continued to speak about the commander of the faithful. He said, يقول فصلا ويحكم عدلا. His words would always be the truth. He would never speak but the truth. Imam Ali alayhi salam would always speak the truth, what pleases Allah Azza wa Jal, such that the Prophet told Imam Ali one day, he told, Aliyun ma'al haq wal haq ma' Ali. Ali is with the haq and the haq is with Ali. You see, with everybody else, first you have to know the haq, the truth, then you know if that person is with the truth or not, right? First you have to know what's right, what's wrong, and then you could judge that person. With Imam Ali, it's the opposite. You know Imam Ali, you know the truth through Imam Ali. As long as you are with Imam Ali, you know everything he says and does will be the truth. And that's why Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam tells his companion Ammar ibn Yasir, he tells him, Ya Ammar, if you saw the entire world going one way, and Ali ibn Abi Talib all by himself going another way, then abandon, neglect the world and go with Ali ibn Abi Talib, because Ali will never lead you astray. Ali will always guide you to Allah Azza wa Jal. So he would always speak the truth, and then Dirar says, وَيَحْكُمُ عَدْلًا, and he would always rule with justice. Imam Ali alayhi salam ruled for about 4 years and 9 months. He was the Khalifa. He was the king of the Muslim nation. And remember, that Muslim nation back then was equivalent to about 20 countries of the Middle East today. So it was a huge, powerful, rich country that Imam Ali alayhi salam presided, that Imam Ali alayhi salam ruled. So Dirar says that one of the most important traits of Imam Ali's government was that he was just. No one had seen justice like the justice of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. And you can especially see that evident with the way that Imam Ali used to treat the wealth and the money of the nation. Imam Ali alayhi salam had zero tolerance for corruption. There would be no room for any corrupt individual in the government of Imam Ali alayhi salam. And this is what I want to speak about tonight. The justice of Imam Ali in his government. There was no one that was more worried and trustworthy about the Muslim treasury, Bayt al-Mal, like Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. How? You see, I always say one of the blessings of having Trump as a president is we were able to see firsthand, get a firsthand experience of what corruption looks like, right? Because don't get me wrong, every president, every government is probably corrupt, but with Trump it was just right there in your face, right? The different levels and types of corruption that we saw in his government, that opened our minds, that opened our eyes, right? That this is our government in the West, that we're appointed by the people and they are this corrupt. So when you see these types of corruption here, in a democratic free country, this is when you begin to understand and value Amir al-Mu'mineen 1400 years ago. The justice that he had in his country that he showed, wallahi, it's unmatched by any other government. Let's look at the different types of corruption and see how Imam Ali alayhi salam ruled with that regard. Number one, you find one type of corruption that you find in governments today, and we saw it very clearly in the Trump administration, was what? The first type was the waste and carelessness with taxpayer money. So how they used to spend the money? President goes, a couple of days he wants to go and play golf, millions of dollars spent so that he could go and play golf, right? Not only the airplanes, not only the security, not only the place that he goes and stays. Millions of dollars were wasted, brothers and sisters, the last 4 years so that he can go and play. When there's people that cannot even pay their rent in this country. There's white people, I'm not talking about black or Latino, even white people that can't pay their own rent. You have the president spending millions of dollars on his golf game. And they consider this what? This president is a clean, pure government. If this isn't corruption, then tell me what is corruption. And then you had his kids, even his kids, hundreds of thousands of dollars were spent. This is all over the news, you can find it. Hundreds of thousands of dollars spent on their security, on his son's security, so that they can go and what? And engage in private business. Engage in private business to further enrich themselves. They use taxpayer money to do that. If this isn't corruption, tell me what is. Another example, if you remember, there was the scandal of one of the cabinet members, secretaries of Trump, Ben Carson, if you remember. They had found out that he bought a dining table for his office for $30,000, brothers and sisters. A dining table. Throughout my life, I have not even seen a dining table. I don't know where he bought it from. $30,000 for a dining table, and there was the scandal. So you see that carelessness with people's money, right? Some people, they go and they spend such a hard time making this money only to be wasted on these things. And there are many, many examples that you can give of these types of corruption that's happening in our governments. And this is only what the media exposed. As we say, only Allah knows what type of corruption there was in the government. And then come to the government of Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. You want to see a corruption that is a government that is void of corruption? You want to see a ruler that has zero tolerance to corruption? Come to Imam Ali alayhi salam. Imam Ali, one day he's the Khalifa, he's in his office, he's told that two people from the companions of the Prophet, they want to come and meet you. Who are they? Talha and Zubair. Why did they come to see the Imam? The Imam knew why they had come. They had come to protest one of the decisions of the Imam that I mentioned yesterday. That when Imam Ali alayhi salam came to power, in order so that he can shatter racism and the different levels of society, he would give out to every individual the same amount. 3 dinars to everyone. Whether you're white, whether you're black, whether you're rich, or what, it doesn't matter. Every person gets 3 dinars, right? Equal share of the Muslim treasury. So Talha and Zubair, they did not like this. They came to protest, were companions of the Prophet. The other khulafa before Imam Ali, they would give Talha and Zubair much more. They would get preference, right? So they wanted that same treatment. They came to Imam Ali alayhi salam and they sat. The Imam, it was at night, there was a candle lit. The Imam asked them, why have you come? Have you come for a personal matter? Or is this something that has to do with the affairs of the Muslims in general? They told him, no, it's a personal matter. He told them, then wait. He got up, he went to the candle and he turned it off. He blew the candle. They're surprised. What is Imam Ali doing? They were left in darkness. He told them, wait a minute. He went and he came back a couple of minutes after. He brought another candle. He brought that other candle and he lit it. He said, okay, now go ahead and ask me what you need. They asked him, Ya Ali, what did you just do? Why did you do that? He told them, because that candle was bought from the Muslim treasury, the money of the Muslims. And your concern is a private concern. I cannot use something that is taken from the Muslim treasury for a personal matter of someone, an individual matter. Yes, if it's a general matter, I could use it. So that's why I turned it off. I went to my house and I brought a candle from my own money. A candle that I own, and I have lit it. And that's why I did this. Talha and Zubair were shocked that this man is serious about going after corruption. That even a candle he will not light unless it goes back to the Muslim interest, the interest of the Muslim Ummah. This was Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib. How much is a candle worth? $1, $2? And then you have jets. You have jets and planes that presidents, they fly to play golf. Where is Imam Ali alayhi salam and where is the world today? This is the first example of corruption and how Imam Ali alayhi salam was just and had zero tolerance for corruption. Another example of corruption that we have today in our country is what? Is bribes. When government officials are bribed so that they can do favors for individuals. Now here in America, they claim that there are no bribes. But this is a lie, brothers and sisters. Because the biggest example of a bribe is what? Is the lobbyists. Don't they donate? Donors come out and they give millions of dollars to presidential campaigns. If this isn't a bribe, then tell me what is. There is individuals that donate 50 million, 60 million to a presidential election. You think they do that fi sabilillah? You think they do that to promote democracy? La wallah. They do this because they have certain agendas and favors that they want the president and his administration to what? To fulfill. So even though they don't call it a bribe, but it is a bribe. They sugarcoat it. No, this is a donation. No, it's a bribe. We see this, it's so pervasive here in America for so many years, right? Just look at the Trump administration and how, entrenched they were with this type of corruption. The people that would come and give millions of dollars. And many of the policies that the president passes, they are not driven by national interest, brothers and sisters. Don't think they're driven by national interest. They are driven by what? By favors. It's favors for rich people. Because he donated $1 million, I have to pass this law. Because he donated $5 million, because this association, this lobbyist firm, and so on and so forth. So it's all about what? Corruption. You give me money and I give you the laws that you want. And the greatest testimony, brothers and sisters, to this is what? Look at the NRA. The NRA, right? The gun lobbyists. Do you know how much they give, brothers and sisters, to government officials in America? Multi-million dollars. I remember once there was an article in the New York Times. It had pictures of each senator, and mostly it's Republicans, of each senator and how much they had accepted donations from the NRA. It was all in the millions, 7-digit figures, 6-digit figures. Every single one of them had taken money. That's why no one would dare contest the gun laws, right? You don't think America needs gun reform? Wallahi, I travel sometimes, I go to lectures to Australia, and I go to Canada, just over here, Canada. Do you know the perception they have of America? That's a jungle. They tell me, Sayyid, how do you live in America? There's guns everywhere. How do you live in this? People are crazy there. Everyone has a gun every day. There's mass shootings, and no one wants to take action. Why? You don't think they know there's a need for gun action? Because they've been bought, they've sold their souls. They've taken millions of dollars from these NRA individuals, these donors, and that's why they will never ever change these laws, because of the bribes that they take. This is corruption, brothers and sisters. Do not be fooled by the media when they show you that this country has no corruption. Corruption is in Lebanon, corruption is in Iraq. No, they just have too much money. No matter how much they waste, they'll still be enough for other people, right? Or else this is one of the most corrupt countries in the world, brothers and sisters. The bribes that they take. If you remember President Trump, before he left office, he started to literally sell pardons. You know the presidential pardon? How much you pay me? $50,000? He would give a pardon to this individual. $100,000? And there was a guy who paid $200,000. This was in the news. So that his criminal father could be released from prison. He paid $200,000 to the Trump campaign, and Trump issued a pardon. So this is corruption, brothers and sisters, that we find in this country. And then come to Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, and see the pureness of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. He went on the minbar one day and he told the story. It's in Nahjul Balagha. He says that one night someone came and knocked my door. This is when Imam Ali is the Khalifa. He is the emperor and the king of the Muslims. Someone comes at night and knocks the door, Imam Ali says. He says, I opened the door. Who is it? It is Al-Ash'ath ibn Qais. Al-Ash'ath ibn Qais was one of the munafiqeen, one of the hypocrites, who pretended to love Imam Ali and support him, but deep down in his heart, he had no love for Imam Ali alayhi salam. That's why he became amongst the Khawarij later. So he says, I open the door, I see Al-Ash'ath ibn Qais, and he has what? He has a plate. It's covered. So as soon as I open the door, he gives me the plate. So Imam Ali alayhi salam, right away, he knew that this was a bribe. He told him, what is this? Is this sadaqah? Is this zakat you've brought me? This is charity. We are Ahlul Bayt. We cannot take any charity. Al-Ash'ath tells him, no, ya Amir al-Mu'mineen. This is a gift for you, sweets, the finest types of sweets. Now, in our world today, sweets, nobody is really tempted by sweets anymore. But back then, right? Probably sweets, they were taken from other countries. They were shipped and brought from another country. So it was something very, very valuable. He brought it to Imam Ali. He told him, this is a gift to you. Imam Ali says, I was so disgusted at his bribe that it's as if that plate, the sweets, they were made with the poison of a snake. That's how I looked at it. I despised it. I was disgusted by it. So then the Imam, he says this on the minbar, he exposed him. He said, I told him, shame on you, O Ash'ath. You think you can bribe Ali ibn Abi Talib? You think you can buy Imam Ali alayhi salam? Let me tell you something about Ali. Ali is different than the other ones that came before him. And then he says these famous lines. He says, Wallah, لو أعطيت الأقاليم السبع بما تحت أفلاكها على أن أعصي الله في نملة أسلبها جلب شعيرة ما فعلت. He says, Wallah, don't look at your sweets. If someone were to come and give me the entire world with what it contains, billions. Imagine if, I'm giving you this example, Jeff Bezos comes and says, my wealth is all for you. Just do me a favor. He says, if the entire world was to be given for me, and in return I would be requested to what? I would be requested to kill a human being, like we see people do individual, to what? To launch certain wars against innocent countries. No! He says, عَلَىٰ أَنْ أَعْصِيَ اللَّهَ فِي نَمْلَةٍ, so that I would oppress an ant. Give me billions and ask me in return to what? To oppress an ant. Kill the ant? Not even kill the ant. Look at the small example that the Imam gives. If I were given billions so that I oppress an ant by taking away its food. You see, sometimes the ant is carrying that huge piece of bread, right? The bread crumbles. And sometimes it's like 5 times as big as the body size of the ant. So weird. And sometimes we just don't know what to do. We're bored. We just come and we blow at those ants. I'm sure we've all done that. And the poor ant loses its food. Imam Ali says, give me the entire world. Try to bribe me with the world. Wallahi, I would not do that to an ant. You don't know who you're dealing with. I am Ali ibn Abi Talib. I am different than any other individual that you have seen. And he says this on the mimbar in front of everybody on the pulpit so that he exposes him, and he sets a lesson that nobody try to bribe Ali ibn Abi Talib. You can never bribe me. This is how pure and clean he was. So this is number 2, the second type of corruption that we had, and this was the justice of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, as we see in this regard. Number 3, a third type of injustice that we have here in this country today in many governments is what? Is the oppression of minorities. Certain individuals of specific religions, right? That's why you have today when a Muslim, the smallest act of violence he does, right away he's made into a terrorist. They send him to Guantanamo Bay, 24-hour coverage, right? But let a white man do that same, not that same, let him do something 10 times more offensive, let him kill hundreds, right? Mass shootings. He was a deranged man. He was someone that had psychological problems, right? I remember just a while ago, brothers and sisters, before Ramadan, all over the news here in Detroit, that a Muslim hijabi woman had stolen 2 vaccines. She works in a hospital somewhere where they administer the vaccines, and she stole 2 vaccines. Now, first of all, it was an accusation. I don't even know if it was proven against her. I saw a picture. She was a muhajjaba woman. And the way that they spoke about her, wallah, as if she had stolen billions of dollars. 2 vaccines. She wanted to go and give it to some old people. This is what they did to her. And then you had, remember, you had the scandal of Johnson & Johnson where 15 million doses were thrown in the garbage and nobody was held responsible. It was a mistake. When you're a Muslim and you're weak in this country, the smallest thing, they will use that against you and they'll turn you into a what? Into a criminal. And the same thing happened in Houston, I remember a couple of months ago. In Houston, there was a Muslim doctor who gave one of the doses to his wife because he said it was expiring, and then they tried to make him the biggest criminal on earth. And then you had Trump. He was, killers, murderers, and individuals. There was a guy who billions of dollars, he had frauded the healthcare system, and he pardoned him. Tell me there is justice in this country, brothers and sisters? No. Maybe if you're white, you may get some justice, but if you're a minority, if you're black, if you're Hispanic, if you're a Muslim, I don't think so. Come to Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam's government and you will understand what justice means. They tell you that Islam is unjust with other religions. Well, I don't know which Islam they're speaking about, because the Islam of Imam Ali alayhi salam, all you can see is justice. One day when Imam Ali was the Khalifa, he's the king, he's walking in the streets. Imam Ali would not walk with an entourage. Usually a president, he walks with so many individuals, his ministers, his security team, right? His bodyguards. Imam Ali had no bodyguards. Why? Because Imam Ali, who could dare come and try to kill Imam Ali? Imam Ali didn't need a bodyguard. He was a lion. Everyone would fear him. So Imam Ali had no bodyguard. That's why he would walk alone. He would tell everyone, his officials, the government, don't walk with me. I don't like this. This is arrogance. I want to walk by myself. That's why many times people couldn't even recognize him. He goes and he buys fruits. He buys food. They thought this is a normal man. This is the Khalifa of the Muslims. And that's why they killed Imam Ali. The only way they killed him from behind when he was in Salah. Because face to face, no one could dare kill Imam Ali alayhi salam. So, Imam Ali is walking in the street. All of a sudden he sees someone. He's carrying his shield. Imam Ali had lost his own shield. Imam Ali knows his shield when he sees it. So he looks, this man is carrying his shield. He comes to him and he turns out to be either a Christian or a Jew. Some traditions say he was a Jew, some traditions say he was a Christian. The point is he was a non-Muslim under the Islamic government of Imam Ali alayhi salam. Imam Ali comes to him and he tells him, this is my shield, give it to me. He tells him, no, it's not your shield, I bought it, it's mine. Now he doesn't know this is the Khalifa of the Muslims, the king. So the Imam tells him, I will take you to court because this is mine. He says, fine, let's go to court. He doesn't know who Imam Ali is. As he enters the court, Imam Ali alayhi salam sees who's there? Shuraih al-Qadi. He is the judge that Imam Ali appointed. So Imam Ali can fire him any second, right? So he enters, Shuraih al-Qadi says, Imam Ali is coming, what's going on? He quickly stands up. He tells him, Assalamu alayka ya Amir al-Mu'mineen. Please, please, come. He gives him his own seat. This Jewish says, what is this? This is Amir al-Mu'mineen? This is the king of the Muslims? Oh my God. I'm screwed, basically. He's going to destroy me. I'm going to hell. Right? I'm going to be punished because who could dare take the Muslims, kings, and I'm a Jew and a Christian, to court? That means I'm going to be killed after this. So Imam Ali alayhi salam tells him, no, Shuraih, don't do any of that. He goes and stands before the judge. I'm the plaintiff and he's the defendant. He tells him, you made two mistakes, O Shuraih. You are my judge, I appointed you, but you have made two mistakes in the way that you judge individuals that come to you. What are they? He says, number one, you were not fair in how you treated us. First, you call me Amir al-Mu'mineen, and you call that guy by his name. That's not fair. You have to call us both by our names. Number two, you told me to take your seat, and then that guy, you just gave him no more seat. That's also, you can't do that. You have to treat us both fairly. This Christian or Jew, he's bedazzled. Is this a joke? Is this a game? This is really the Khalifa of the Muslimin, and this is how he speaks to his judge. So then Shuraih says, okay, fine. Imam Ali stands one side, and that Jew or Christian stands on the other side. Yep. The judge asks, what's going on? Imam Ali tells him, this is my shield. This man has taken my shield and I want it. So the judge asks the Christian or the Jew, is this really Ali's? He says, no, this is mine. I bought it from the market and this is not his. So Shuraih tells him, yeah, Ali, here the law dictates that because the shield is in his possession, then possession indicates what? Ownership. When you possess something, it's yours, unless someone can prove otherwise, right? I can't come and tell you, this is my phone, it's in your pocket. You can, no, it's mine, unless you have evidence against that. So the judge asked Imam Ali alayhi salam, do you have evidence and proof, witnesses that this is yours? Imam Ali alayhi salam says, it is mine, but I don't have any witnesses. So Shuraih tells him, I'm sorry, Ya Ali, if you don't have witnesses and evidence, then I cannot give the verdict for you. If you have no evidence, then it's the Jews. So then the judge of the Muslims who was appointed by Imam Ali, he rules against Imam Ali, and he says, you Christian or Jew could keep the shield, and he leaves. Imam Ali alayhi salam leaves. He says, fine. That Jew is bedazzled. He says, Allahu Akbar, what did I just see in front of me? The Khalifa of the Muslims, I'm a Jew or a Christian, I take him to court and I defeat him? This is justice. This is not an ordinary man. And that's why he goes and follows Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, and he says, Ya Ali, such akhlaq is the akhlaq and teachings of what? Of only messengers of God. Messengers and prophets of Allah Azza wa Jal. And thus he says the shahadatain. He says, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, wa ashhadu anna Aliyan waliyullah. I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, Muhammad is the messenger, and you, Ali, are the correct and rightful successor of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So this was the third way that we saw the justice of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. And finally, number 4, brothers and sisters, the fourth way that we see the justice of Imam Ali under his government. And this fourth way is the greatest testament, the greatest testimony to the fact that Imam Ali was a just ruler. It was with his own family members. He was just even when it came to his own family members. Because no matter how just a leader or a ruler tries to be, his weak spot will always be what? His family members, right? His wife, his kids, they always get special treatment, right? They always have special jets, special treatment, servants, they get money more than everyone else, no matter how just, because he loves his family. So nepotism, as they call it, is one of the greatest weaknesses of any ruler, of any president. And you saw President Trump, how he brought his own daughter in the White House. She was not qualified, his son-in-law not qualified, and he gave them more power than anyone in government. And they used their own position to what? To further and to advance their own business, to enrich themselves because of their position. Salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So, Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, when you see his justice, brothers and sisters, and how he fought against corruption, you will only understand that when you see how he treated his own family members. And I'll tell you two stories. The first story happened with his own brother, Aqil. Remember how Imam Ali would give evenly to everyone? The Imam said that one day my brother Aqil, his older brother Aqil came to me. He's the Khalifa, he's the king. Aqil was blind. He was brought with his children, with his kids, with his sons. So he says, Aqil comes to me and he tells me, Ya Ali, you're my brother, so hook me up, right? Muslim treasury, you can give me, no one can deny you. No one can, Imam Ali had full authority, no one could prevent him. How much did Aqil ask? And see how basic Aqil was. He was not a greedy individual. Imam Ali says, he came and asked me for 3 kilograms of wheat. 6-7 pounds of wheat. How much is that worth, brothers and sisters? I think it's worth under $10. He wants to use his connections and his closeness to Imam Ali so that Imam Ali gives him $10. So he was not even a greedy person. Now Aqil was they say he was a very generous man, the brother of Imam Ali. So any money he had, he would always invite people, give it to other people. So he lived a life of debt. Generous people, usually they live a life of debt because they're always giving away what they have. So he was in debt. Imam Ali had already given him a share, but because he was just wasting it and giving it all away, the Imam, he came and asked for more from the Imam. So he says, Aqil came to me and he asked me, Wallah, laqad ra'aytu aqilan wa qad amlaq hatta istamahani min burrikum sa'a. And then he says, وَرَأَيْتُ صُبْيَانَهُ شُعْثَ الْأَلْوَانِ غُبْرَ الْأَلْوَانِ مِنْ فَقْرِهِمْ كَأَنَّمَا سُوِّدَتْ وُجُوهُمُ الْعِظَمِ. And I could see his kids, they were in good shape. From the dress, the clothing that they had, they were in need. So then Aqil he kept on insisting, Ya Ali, you're my brother, give me 3 kilograms of wheat. Imam Ali says, I listened to him and he thought that I would sell my religion. Imam Ali considers this selling his religion if he gives what? 3 kilograms of wheat from the Muslim treasury. He told him, okay, I'll get you something. Imam Ali says, I went, Aqil was happy. He thought that I was going to honor his request. Imam Ali says, I came back. What did I bring with me? He brought a metal rod with him. He says, I heated it with fire, so it was scorching hot. Aqil is blind, he can't see. I told him, Aqil, I've brought you what you need. And I brought that metal rod. I brought it close to his hand. He says, when Aqil started to feel the heat of that metal rod, Aqil jumped and he started to scream, ouch! She got burned. He didn't touch him, but he just brought it close to him. He told him, Ya Ali, what are you doing? Why are you burning me? I thought you were bringing me the wheat that I wanted. Imam Ali started to lecture him. He told him, shame on you, Ya Aqil. Shame on you. You wanted to use the fact that I'm your brother so that I steal. He uses the word, I steal from the Muslim treasury. He says, you are afraid of this metal rod that I, a weak human being, has lit. And you want to drag me to the fires of Allah, Jahannam, on the day of judgment? Never, Ya Aqil. Shame on you, Ya Aqil. I will never do that. Aqil leaves and he goes and he understands that Imam Ali is serious when he says zero corruption in my government. Even if you're my own brother. And finally, with his own daughter. With his own daughter. Ali ibn Abi Rafi', he worked in the treasury department of Imam Ali. So he says, I was in charge of the Muslim treasury. He says, in the Muslim treasury, there was a very fine pearl necklace. It was very expensive that we had brought. I don't know where they got it from, but it was in the Muslim treasury. So Ali ibn Abi Rafi' says that one day, one of the daughters of Imam Ali, she sent a message to me. She told me that I heard there's this fine necklace in the Muslim treasury. Can I borrow it for a couple of days? She wants to borrow it. Can I borrow it for a couple of days because the Eid is coming? I want to wear it and I will give it back to you after the Eid. And I promise that I am liable. I will insure it. If something happens, it breaks, it's lost, I am liable. I will compensate and reimburse for that necklace. So Ibn Abi Rafi', he says, I found this to be a logical, a valid request. First of all, she's borrowing it. And number two, if something happens to it, she's liable for it. So he told her, yes, you're the daughter of Amir al-Mu'mineen. You're the daughter of the king. So he says, I took the necklace and I sent it to the daughter of Amir al-Mu'mineen. Imam Ali alayhi salam, the next day, he goes to visit his daughter and he sees she's wearing this necklace. This very fine, expensive necklace. He knew that this wasn't hers. He knew this was from Bayt al-Mal. So as soon as he saw that, he said nothing. He quickly went to Ibn Abi Rafi'. He summoned him, come to me. What's going on? He tells him, oh Ibn Abi Rafi', didn't you promise and you gave an oath that you will be trustworthy? That you will never steal? That you will never betray the Muslim treasury? He said, yes, what did I do? He told him, how did you give that necklace to my daughter? This is a betrayal of your position, of the Muslim treasury. Ibn Abi Rafi' tells him, but she's your daughter. She's your daughter. And number two, she's just borrowing it. She's going to give it back and she will reimburse if something happens to it. Imam Ali tells him, never, never. You cannot touch anything unless it's yours. You cannot give anything to anyone. I don't care if she's my own daughter. And then he gives him a warning. He tells him, if you do this again, I'll fire you from your position. Even if it's my own daughters, you don't give them. Khalas, they will get the same share as every other Muslim. And then he goes to his daughter and he tells her, he also gives a warning. He told her, if it wasn't for the fact that you borrowed it, if you had taken it for yourself, you would have been the first female member of the family of Rasulullah who would have been sentenced and tried for stealing. Imam Ali says, I would try you in front of people. You're my own daughter, to make an example out of you. This was Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. Where do you find this type of justice, brothers and sisters? Tell me, which governor, which leader, which ruler was like Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam? Never will we find someone like Al-Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen. And this embodiment, Imam Ali, the embodiment of justice on a night like this, the 20th night of Ramadan, he laid restlessly on his bed with the poison inside his head, and he was losing more and more power. He was getting weaker and weaker. On a night like this, Al-Asbagh ibn Nubata, one of the companions of Imam Ali alayhi salam, says, I went to visit the house of Imam Ali. He says it was such a gloomy, depressing scene, atmosphere. There were hundreds of people gathering outside the house of Ali crying because they knew Imam Ali was going to die. He says, I noticed all these people are crying, and he says, what caught my attention, I saw little kids, orphans, tens of them. They're all crying and they're saying, our dear father, wa abatah wa aliyah. They're calling Ali their own father because Imam Ali was the father figure to the orphans. He was the caretaker of the orphans, such that I read a hadith where it says that when they used to bring honey to the Muslim treasury, they would bring large loads of honey so that they pass it out to the people. Imam Ali, the same day, he would tell people to form two lines. The first line is for everyone. And the second line is specifically for orphans. He had an express line for orphans because the Imam alayhi salam had a special heart, had a special place in his heart for orphans. He had a very soft heart. So they say that Imam Ali alayhi salam, he would go and stand in front of the line of the orphans and he would take from the asal, from the honey, and he would feed them with his own hands. And he's the Khalifa of the Muslimin. Such that one of the companions of Imam Ali says, when I saw that, I wished that I was an orphan, so that Imam Ali could feed me from that honey, so that I can receive honey from the glorious, blissful hands of Imam Ali alayhi salam. So anyway, the children are all crying. They brought milk for Imam Ali alayhi salam. Remember, because Imam Ali's iftar was milk. They brought milk for Imam Ali and they're crying. So he says, all of a sudden Imam Hassan comes out. And he tells everyone, please go. Please don't stand here. We can't have you here. We have too much already, to deal with. So please everyone leave. We can't have anyone enter. He says, everybody left except me. Al-Asbagh ibn Nubata, one of the companions of Imam Ali. He says, I stayed standing there. Imam Hassan came out after a while. He said, didn't I say leave? Please, don't stand here. Leave. Al-Asbagh says, I told Imam Hassan, how can I leave when my master is dying? I can't leave. I can't leave because my heart is here. Please let me see my master Ali ibn Abi Talib for one last time before he dies. Imam Hassan alayhi salam said, fine, wait a moment. He says, after a while, he brought me inside. He says, I was taken in the room where Ali ibn Abi Talib, this mighty warrior, this legend, this lion of Allah. You're used to seeing Imam Ali sitting on a chair. He's active, he's very strong, right? But he says, this time I saw Imam Ali in a different way. Imam Ali was laying on the floor. That Imam Ali had no energy. He could hardly move. He was so weak. He says, as soon as I saw that, I started to cry. I remember Ali should be on the battlefield. He shouldn't be on the bed. He shouldn't be on the floor. You know, when you see someone strong and because of a sickness or because of an injury, he has to sleep. This, really bothers you that this person is so active and strong. He shouldn't be on the bed. He says, I sat down by Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. They had wrapped the head of Imam Ali with a yellow cloth. He says the face of Imam Ali had turned so yellow pale because he's losing blood. I did not know, was the face of Imam Ali more yellow or was the cloth on the head of Imam Ali more yellow? Something that you cannot even describe. He says, I sat down and I started to cry, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ya Ali, don't leave us. Imam Ali told me, do not fear for me because innaha al-Jannah. I'm going to paradise. I'm going with Rasulullah, my uncle Hamza, my father Abu Talib, my cousin Ja'far. Don't fear for me. Al-Asbagh tells him, I know, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, you're going to paradise, but I cry for me, for us, because we will lose such a legend. We will lose such a teacher, such an imam like you, Ya Ali. That's why I'm crying. I'm crying for us. Al-Asbagh ibn Nabata says, and all of a sudden, Imam Hassan and Hussein, they brought a doctor to come and check on Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. He was a very famous doctor. His name was Urwat al-Saluli. He came and he did his checkup on Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. After he finished, now the sons of Imam Ali, the daughters, they're waiting. What will the doctor say? Sometimes when you're in the hospital and you have a loved one, they are in a critical condition and they ask the doctor to come and assess the situation. As soon as the doctor finishes, the family goes to the doctor and they're asking, they're so anxious, they're full of hope. They ask the doctor, will he live? Will he die? It's a very, very difficult time for the family. This was what the family of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam was going through. So Imam Hassan, Hussein, the daughters of Imam Ali alayhi salam, they came to the doctor and they asked him, tell us what will happen to our father. Tell us about his condition, his situation. This man, Urwa al-Saluli, he looks at Imam Ali, he could not even tell them. And he tells Imam Ali, Ya Sayyidi, اعهد عهدك ووصي وصيتك. He tells Imam Ali, oh Ali, write your will and say your final words, because it won't be long before you die and leave this world, because the poison from the strike of Ibn Muljam has reached your brain and you won't live but a few hours or days. Allahu Akbar. When the sons of Imam Ali and the daughters, they heard these words, they all started to cry and lament Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. They sat down in front of Imam Ali alayhi salam and they began to say, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ya Ali, don't leave us. If you leave us, who will be for us after you? Assalamu alayka ya Mawla ya Amir al-Mu'mineen wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ya Allah. Brothers and sisters, let us raise our hands and supplicate to Allah. We ask Allah to forgive us of our sins, to accept our a'mal during the blessed month of Ramadan. We ask Allah to enable us to follow in the footsteps of Imam Ali alayhi salam, to grant us in this dunya his ziyarah and the hereafter his shafa'ah and the shafa'ah of Rasulullah. And let us end, brothers and sisters, by reciting Surah Al-Fatiha for all the mu'mineen, mu'minat that have departed us, after a loud salawat for Muhammad and Al Muhammad. Salli ala Muhammad.